My take tonight reluctantly borrows from the analogy of divorce proceedings to describe the messy end times at the Jubilee House. Reluctantly, because in normal divorce proceedings, the courts protect the identities of the parties, especially where children are involved. Reluctantly, because what we are witnessing at Jubilee Party is not really a divorce, but just a typical end that characterizes the unprincipled and unstructured loose relations in Kenya's party politics. I should point out at this juncture that Jubilee, as constituted today, is actually a second version of itself. It is actually the other side of the party that came to power in 2013. This is because the so-called divorce is a second-term ritual that has been witnessed since the inception of multi-party politics, and particularly since the 2002 ouster of the ruling party KANU. You see, from 2002 to date, Kenya has actually been managed or mismanaged in intervals of 5 years by different entities calling themselves parties. Remember the National Rainbow Coalition that won the election in 2002 with President Mwai Kibaki as its candidate, supposedly replacing itself with the same candidate, styling himself as the candidate of another party whose name he could not even pronounce on the date of launch? So in 2013, when Kibaki left office, we were introduced to Jubilee. But few would remember that this was actually a double-faced outfit made of the National Alliance, that's TNA, and the laboriously named United Republican Party, URP. So if you didn't see the knives then on the backs of respective players, it's either because you chose to ignore it or you just didn't pay attention. We're now in the second run of President Kenyatta's term in office, and second term, to the best of my recollection, is the term of true colors. So let's not call them divorce proceedings, because they're not. What we should worry about as Kenyans is just how early the final rituals have come. I would place a bet here and now that Jubilee will not defend the 2022 election as currently constituted. And that is why the scramble is on, to either break it up or distort what it has been for the last 5 years. But the pain of Kenyans should be the open display of the untidy side of divorce proceedings. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto have lately filled up the laundry line with the least attractive of their dirty linen. My take is the ugly show is costing the country plenty of national energy. My take is, because of this dirty show, the country is grinding to a halt. And my fear is that it is degenerating into the kind of indiscipline that would rarely be associated with governments. And so the scramble for control of Jubilee has translated to a state of dysfunction in government. Because how else would one explain the fact that rivalry at party level has reduced a deputy president to a jobless wheelbarrow pusher? This is not even my take, but the view of his supporters who say he is unassigned and so is free to push the next moving thing. Why would it not be described as dysfunction when a prominent party functionary declares publicly that in fact the job of the deputy president has been taken over by a cabinet secretary who is in fact the DP's junior? And why would it not be described as an ugly dysfunction when the DP shows open defiance of his boss by failing to attend an official function to which he was invited? Listen, folks, President Uhuru Kenyatta cannot go missing on this one either. There are offenses of commission and omission, and he seems to prefer the offenses of omission, but just keeping quiet even as crises in his party and the government shake the very carpet under his feet. So my take tonight is this: Mr. President and Mr. Deputy President, please spare us the so-called divorce proceedings. It is time you demonstrated responsibility and leadership before the recklessness of power politics starts undoing the fabric of our nation. There is the proverbial Samsonian doctrine of bringing the house down with you, and that's the sense I get about this so-called divorce proceedings in Jubilee. So-called proceedings are reckless, ugly, and costly to the country. Many times, politicians like peppering their speeches with a famous line that says, "No one is bigger than the country." I want to suggest here tonight that the dead Tuko Pamoja slogan at Jubilee headquarters be replaced with this one: none of the two politicians is greater than the country. And that is my take.